the intelligent design movement has been criticized by some by saying, hey, it's just a bunch of Christians trying to get their theological viewpoint propagated. Is that a fair criticism?
Well, it would be fair if it were also fair to say that Darwinism has been undermined in its credibility by the fact that many or most Darwinists are agnostics or atheists. I mean, Michael Shermer and Eugenie Scott and Richard Dawkins have all signed the Third Humanist Manifesto, which is a call for an aggressive atheistic world order. And two can play that motive-mongering game, but the problem with it is that it doesn't settle anything. You have to evaluate arguments by the quality of the evidence and the reasoning that are used to support them.
And there has been
Michael Shermer wants to say that belief in intelligent design is a weird belief that's used to justify a prior religious commitment. We think it's a perfectly sensible belief, whatever your religious commitment. If you see evidence of software or something that functions like software, it's perfectly reasonable to infer that there was a programmer.
Of course, but when almost every single member I know of your movement is an evangelical Christian, you hardly have any Jews or Baptists or Buddhists or anything like that. That makes me suspect. That just makes me suspect of something. It would be like if every single member of a group were Democrat or Republican, and I would think, okay, maybe they're right, but that makes me skeptical of something else going on here.
The Discovery Institute that Stephen Meyer, I think, is the president of or leading director of or something like that.
Yeah.
He, I was actually talking to him last year, and he was telling me about how they have a ton of different types of people who are interested in intelligent design, from Buddhists to Hindu, global academics, and a lot of different fields that are interested in this as a theory. And in fact, the proponents of intelligent design, there's actually a few examples now where they've actually been able to find a new discovery based on this thesis. And that's, let's plug this idea in and see where it takes us. And it's actually led to a few breakthroughs, which is very cool.
Well, it also strikes me as similar to the argument of like, well, you can't trust that the disciples believed that Jesus rose from the dead because they were believers. It's like, well, yeah, so would you be if you saw that Jesus rose from the dead. Like, if you're convinced that the universe has been designed, well, then you're going to have to ask the question, who is this designer and what is he like? And there's really only a couple potential options for you out there. I mean, yes, there are a huge number of religions in the world, but most of them are, tiny or not very well evidenced, and you kind of need to narrow it down. And, I wouldn't be even bothered by the fact that a lot of the intelligent design proponents were Christians, because I think that's where the evidence points. Why are you lambasting them for believing where the evidence clearly points?
It's also interesting. This could be a whole other video, and maybe we should do this at some point, but the amount of people that are totally open to simulation theory or to the idea that we were seeded here by a higher life form, aliens from another planet seeded us here, those ideas are totally cool.
Yeah,
no problem whatsoever, very rational. So long as that higher intelligence that the DNA does seem to be pointing to is not one that is a arbiter of how one lives their life, etc., which is really actually a shame, because, and that's one of, like, honestly, my missions with doing this entire thing on YouTube is, how much do you have to despise who you think the God of the Bible is in order to reject him basically at all cost? And so I do feel like a huge part of at least my mission, because I've been there, is to say there's maybe a straw man or a caricature or even a bad person in church who has poorly represented the God of the universe. And so if you have that view that God is a moral monster, that God is an evil arbiter of law, then I totally get it why you would want to basically reject that premise at all costs. Unfortunately, I do think that is the case for a lot of people. I wrestled through that thing myself, where it's like, I got to figure out how to make this not true because I don't like the implications of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You should want Christianity to be true. Like, when you genuinely understand who Jesus is and what he's like, how good he is and how much he loves you, how much he desires to save you. Like, I have a video on my channel about this, that you should actually want Christianity to be true, but a lot of people don't, because they've seen misrepresented, they've had hypocritical Christians in their lives, they've misunderstood key elements of Christianity, and so they think that God is just this angry, horrible being that they would do anything to make him not exist. So I think you're right on with that.
I might even go as far as to say that if you have a right understanding of who God is, and if you have a right understanding of who you are, then you will want Christianity to be true.
Yeah, absolutely.